This is Lord of the Rings Warmaster.
And the problem is, I've got no idea how it works, which is actually a bit of a problem because I've spent literally months painting it all.
If you're anything like me, then learning tabletop games always goes a little bit like this. Sick cover. There'll be 8 phases. It looks fun. Do you wanna play a quick game? It looks good. Right.
There. Worry not, my child. He won't bother you now. Do you know why? Because he's an insecure fool. He can't even understand a game that he spent loads on. Absolute moron. Close your eyes. Close them.
Yeah. It's understandable, it's a bit of a shame, but... So I'm basically going to find out if, as a complete beginner, I can learn the game. Or at least an overview of the game.
Oh, God.
I don't want to get into too much detail in the game. I just want to do a general overview of what minis are out there, what rules are out there to play, and how to adapt this for Lord of the Rings, because that's what we're here for, isn't it, probably? And the big question is it good? I really do hope it's a good game, to be fair. What do you reckon? You got high hopes for the game, or?
What game?
I'm going to be honest with you, mate. I don't have any Warmaster books, so I don't even have the luxury of that. We're going to have to see what we can find and have a look on the internet, which I hear is really catching on.
And here I am accessing the internet in a somewhat millennial manner, typing Warmaster Revolutions using my fingers. I found myself at this lovely looking landing page and I navigated to downloads, and I downloaded the Warmaster Revolution Compendium 2.01. To my glee, it looks exquisite. Shortly after, I embarked on a new adventure to find War of the Ring, which is a supplement for Warmaster Revolutions that turns it into a Lord of the Rings type game. And without hesitation, I found myself to the Cobblestones casting website, which is a place where you can get 10mm minis if you don't have a printer, and they're all made of metal, which is really cool. I don't have any, but they look cool, and I want them, and I will be definitely getting some. Wake's Emporium is where I usually get my 10mm stuff from. They're STL files. I've got a resin 3D printer, so I usually print them on that. And these are some things that I've already printed. When I say some things, I mean 2 massive armies. And we're going to be coming back to this later, I promise. As with most tabletop games, you'll need some dice, measuring tape, and some tiny soldiers. In the game of Warmaster, we have infantry, missile troops, generals and heroes, monsters, artillery, chariots, and of course, cavalry. These ones were broken and I fixed them, and it was very painful. We're going to have a quick look at the game sequence. This is how the game plays out in turns. We deploy our armies, we commence battle, and that is split into command, shooting, and combat. Game values, these are numbers that indicate how strong, how well your bases fight, and that's split into attacks, hits, and armor. We also have attacks split into hand-to-hand and shooting. Let's look at some units, shall we? So units are formed of 3 bases, and it can be in all sorts of shapes, and they all mean different things. So we have 2 column formations here, for instance. Put them together. You can add a 3rd one and a 4th one if you want, and it becomes a brigade. And this will become relevant later, supposedly. For your viewing pleasure, there are 3 different formations here. Column, and we have line, and we have irregular, which usually incurs penalties for movement. So I'm hoping to clarify the relevancy of all of that in the command phase, at least some of it, to you and myself. In the game of Warmaster, as far as I can tell, we issue commands, a little bit like a general. And these commands can fail, which is fascinating. And you have to be within a certain distance to make a successful command. I think it's 20 centimeters or something. It seems to be the case that if we're within 20 centimeters of an enemy unit, like these Minas Tirith swordsmen, that we can charge. Again, I'm learning these on the fly, so this could be wrong, but thumbs up anyway. I'm moving this particular unit by initiative, which basically means if you're within range of a unit, they can move on their own accord without an order. And I'm going to issue a command to this unit, and it's successful. The way this works is they have a command value, and you have to basically score on it or under it. If you score over it, then that's a failed command, and some hilarious consequences can happen, or you're just moving at half speed in the movement phase, as I understand it. This is an example of a failed command. So here's a brigade that I made, and I want to issue a brigade command so that I can move it up, and it was successful. Didn't show you the dice roll because I forgot to record it, to be honest. This was just the little setup in my conservatory on my usual painting table, just to kind of get an idea of how the command phase works, and throw some dice, see if I get it, and then see if I can show some of that to you. By the way, you can't go through tiny gaps in enemy units, but you can go through gaps in terrain. Just have to be a certain length, I can't remember right now. Coming up later, we're going to set up the big table and try and do some more stuff. But first, Lee. Welcome to the Vortex. It's sort of a pocket dimension between pocket dimensions. Lots of cool things coming up on the channel. Want to do some 10mm elves soon. Been working on some shank engines, which is quite hard to explain, but it's sort of like a demon world full of trains. Harry, do you want to?
Yeah.
Do you want to give it a go?
Oh yeah, sure. Right.
Yeah. So what?
The shank engines. They were horrible creatures, created by a being not known by man. Nearly everybody died. Sodor.
Just for the people who don't know, what is Sodor?
Sodor. Basically, the Thomas of the Tank.
It's the Thomas the Tank Engine world, yeah.
Yeah.
But what's it called now? You've called it something different, eh? You changed it because it got.
Sodom. It wasn't also.
You putting on a voice
What?
for the camera? You're doing a deeper voice.
Yeah, I am.
No, I like it. Oh, okay. It's cool.
Anyway, Arachna Train. Third in command. Third strongest of the group.
Nasty's a nasty man.
Known for his great battle.
Skrat! Sorry.
Okay.
I was just backing you up as being hype man.
I don't know if this thing has a name, so I'm just gonna call it Gary. Gary, fourth in command. Fourth deadliest.
Love you, Gary.
Kills people with his massive claw. My personal favorite. Nutkin
Nightmare, mate.
This guy, controller of a certain castle. This thing is not to be messed with.
Okay. And now, of course, the Lord of all trains.
The Lord himself.
Sorry.
Thomas. Leader of the group. His owner. Dead on his side. Controls everything.
Excellent. Thanks, man. Right. Is it bed for you now, isn't it? Bedtime?
What?
It's bedtime. You've got some maths homework, haven't you, as well? So yeah, we're basically writing a game. It's called Shank Engines, and it makes some kind of sense sometimes, and mainly it's just we make demon trains and weird things. Thank you to everyone that subscribed recently. We've just reached 5,000 subscribers. If you'd like to support the channel further, I've just set up a Patreon page. That's a real good way to make sure the channel can keep going and I can keep making the videos that I'm making. It's quite hard to put these together, and it's all about my available time at the minute, which is not a lot, to be honest. And thank you to these guys who've already joined the Patreon. They keep going, keep me motivated, and support me through all this mad stuff. Gives you access to a Discord, and we talk about all sorts of stuff like hobbying, miniatures stuff. To be fair, we mainly just get distracted and talk about anything, but what do you reckon? We'll get back to the video, yeah? I could do like a classic played out YouTube transfer and do this. Oh, no, I'm still there. I finally found myself on a weekend where I had the chance to commandeer the dining room table to set up the full board and 2 massive armies, the forces of Mordor and the forces of Gondor. And it's the perfect chance to try out the movement phase. This is where we start moving our units and brigades. Mostly brigades in this one because we've got a pretty huge army and we don't want to be moving unit by unit. So we're going to make some measurements. They usually move 20 centimeters, but we have to issue them commands and they have to have a commander nearby, but that's all good. So we're going to start with this one, make the roll. This one was all good, so we get to move our full 20 centimeters. So we're going to do that here. Now I apologize to the veteran players who are like, what the hell is he doing? I'm sure I'm doing this wrong. Again, let us newbies know in the comments. For the newbies like me, the full rules are all in my description, so you can download, have a look, and correct me yourself if you wish. Okay, this one went wrong, so half movement distance, and a successful roll for the Easterling Brigade. And they marched forth with hate in their heart. I moved everything else. And then I thought, oh, well, let's do some Gondor movement, so can't leave them behind. And that went well. So, The shooting phase. Now, this is interesting. So very different to MESBG. This is less about mass death and more about foiling your enemy's movements and plans by making them fall back or pushing them back. The Orc Archers are in range of the Fountain Guard, so they're going to shoot some of their arrows and they make loads of shots. The amount of shots are indicated in the army lists, and there's a link to that in my description as well. So we have 3 successful hits here. The Fountain Guard are going to do an armor save roll to see if any of that did any damage at all. Only one of the hits was saved, so that's 2 wounds, and they were forced to fall back. It's kind of like an orderly retreat under fire, and this is how you control your enemy's movements and plans. Right, the dreaded combat phase. This is where I got very overwhelmed and confused. Oh yeah, I started moving things around with a block of wood. It was really helpful. Makeshift movement tray. Anyway, I decided to progress the situation to the point where everyone would be battering each other. And rather than trying to make 2 brigades fight each other, which is where things get, to be honest, very complex, I decided to charge 2 units into each other and try and work out that engagement. So we're going to start there. So it seems to be that whoever has priority in the turn is the first to attack, and they have a number of dice to roll, which is indicated on each base, and it's usually 4s to hit. Then whoever loses the engagement, if they have any stands left, has to fall back. So let's try this on this engagement here. So we've rolled a bunch of dice. Oh my god, that's a lot of hits. So now we need to work out if we can save any of those with some armor saves. So we're going to roll the hits and see what we've saved. Not as much as the Minister of Spearmen would like, so we've lost a base and we've also got a wound left over. So if I've done that right, that makes sense to me. That's pretty cool. At this point, I believe that the other side then gets to make their attacks, and then the combat is decided, and whoever loses that tug of war, as it is, has to fall back, and the victor can decide to hold their ground, fall back, or pursue. And when I was talking to my mate Dave, who's a veteran player of the game, he said this can create a sort of domino effect, where if you keep winning engagements, a single unit can sort of punch through, which can be quite annoying, but also quite interesting, depending on which side you're on, I suppose. At this point, I was trying to work out how to do this with brigades, and my brain started spinning out. I struggle with this kind of thing, so I thought, I want to just have a bit of a break and go touch some grass, do you know what I mean? Rach was painting, you know, things are going on. Lovely colour though, look at that. I took a walk. I live in a place quite lucky because there's beautiful countryside, so I've got to have a think about some stuff.
It's quite hard for me to learn a new game. You know, I've got a full-time job, so I've got to come home, I've got to do my YouTube, family obligations, things that I need to get done. So really I need to be playing someone in person. With a niche game like this, there's no one around here that knows about it, so I've got to convince someone, and I've got to have them in front of me and have the minis on the table, because I know as soon as they see that, they're going to want to play. So far I'm enjoying it. Sometimes I come to a place like this, have a walk, have a think about it. Not usually dressed like this, to be fair. Probably, sound. I was talking to my mate David, and he's developing some rules for Lord of the Rings 10mm, Warmaster style rules, I suppose. And we were talking about why do we play these games? What is the point? You know, why not chess? Why not any other board game? And we were talking about telling stories to yourself. You know, what do you see in your head? And I think he said it best. He said your internal camera. And I think that's what's amazing about this game. The internal camera is, each unit is not just what the unit is. It's hundreds of people. So we're talking about thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands in a battle, and that's what gets me going. I don't know about you, but
I have a lot to learn about this game and many battles to fight before I understand it, but I've enjoyed it so far. I'm enjoying the process. That's the important thing in any hobby, enjoying the process. Because otherwise, what's the point?
So is this an approachable game for beginners? I suppose what I'm asking is, do I understand the game? And broadly speaking, I think the answer is yes. I get the structure of the game in terms of the phases, and I think there's a few things I've been able to grasp onto, like the command phase, for instance, which I think is the coolest part. I think it's the core dynamic for me anyway. The fact that you can issue a command and it can go hilariously wrong, or it can be misinterpreted, makes it feel like you're a general. And the fact that the heroes are kind of tokens of control, I think is really, really cool. But things got really complicated when it was who's fighting who, when you have things brigaded together. Things got nuanced, and I think that's going to take a few actual battles. So I think I'd like to get some battles in. I'm going to see if I can convince someone to play it with me, to learn it with me, or someone who's already played. And then I think doing a battle report on this channel will be really, really good. And then we can start getting into the rule sets and stuff. I'm not qualified to go through all of the rules and the best ways to play the game. I'm a casual gamer, barely play the other games that I collect, do you know what I mean? But I feel motivated to learn these rules because it's so cool. It is cool. The internal camera, I think the story that I'm telling myself when I'm playing it is extra clear with this game for some reason. I think it's the extra scale, the fact that a base that's not just literally what's there, it represents hundreds. So these really are engagements of thousands, which is what I wanted. I'm not sure how I feel about that abstraction, but because I'm a bit literal with that, but I think it is cool. The game in general, it answers both questions there. It is cool, it is approachable, it is worth it. I want this video to be a little bit of a overview, but also a jumping off point, and a place where you can find the resources all together, all in my description. Read the rules, see if you like it, maybe play a couple of test games with some bases, before jumping in. I can make the mistakes for you, you know what I mean? But I'm loving it, yeah. And this has been a bit of a different video for me. I don't usually cover this kind of thing. I like to paint, I like to collect, I like the stories, but I'm motivated to play this game, and I can't wait to get into more 10mm shenanigans. If you're a veteran player of this, or have been playing this for a while and you're watching these videos, because I know some of you out there already are, then please leave it in the comments if I've missed anything from the description, for us newcomers, us newbies that want to know about it. It's been good, isn't it? Probably. See ya.